Well, ladies and gentlemen, we do have another key update regarding the 2024 election. Before I get into this video, I do want to say, if you guys want to join my Discord, link to that is in the description. I've got a little over 1,000 members on there. It is a pretty nice server, so there is that. But we've got to get into this. Kamala Harris has been informed her swing state internals are cratering with working class families, especially men. Only demographic left is single women. And that's really not surprising. I think Trump is going to win this election because of working class white people. We've seen all the recent stuff on Polymarket, and now we're getting and this is like the fourth or fifth internal report we've gotten where not only are the swing state polls a lot worse in the internals, which are hypothetically, more accurate, we would expect considering they're actually trying to get it as close as possible, the internal polls, to know their strategy and to formulate it. You did see Walz last night go on Kimmel. I mean, they're very desperate. Walz was on Fox News. Now Kamala's going on all these things. She totally bombed on the Call Her Daddy, where she got, what was it, like a 32%? It's probably like down in the 20% like rate on that video. But this doesn't surprise me, this report of her internals are cratering, and especially with males, and also I think just white people, working class, middle class, white people in general. That is what's going to win Trump the election. That's what's going to win him Pennsylvania. That's what's going to win him Michigan and Wisconsin. And it is so very important. So an interesting thing there. You've also got this weird New York Times poll that recently came out. The national poll, meaning the popular vote, has Harris +3, which in terms of New York Times for her is very good. But then you look at Texas, Trump +6. I can understand that. I think that's probably pretty accurate based on what's going to happen, which is a huge win for Trump based on the migration we've seen from California to Texas. Trump won the state by 6 points back in 2020. If he's able to keep it at 6 points, that's a huge win when it comes to Texas. Florida +13, obviously, that is a lot higher than many of the polls have been. And it does kind of, there's some odd data there. How is Harris +3 in terms of the popular vote if Trump is +13 in Florida? And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if Trump won Florida by double digits. The +13, I mean, that's really good for Trump based off of the polls that I've seen in Florida. I think we all expected when there were some polls that came out that Trump was only up by 3 or 4, he was going to win it by a lot more than that. But +13 is pretty crazy in Florida. And you would think, well, if he's +13 in Florida, the popular vote would be significantly better than where Biden was. Biden was +4 in terms of the popular vote, but this poll has Harris +3, which it doesn't really add up considering if Trump takes Florida by 13, we already know he's going to make up significant ground in New York. We know he's going to make up significant ground in New Jersey. We know he's going to make up ground in Virginia, or at least we expect it. And you would expect the popular vote to be a lot closer if Trump wins Florida by 13 points. He won it by 3 in 2020. So I would say the Florida and Texas polls in this New York Times Siena College poll, those look good. I mean, you'll take a Texas Trump +6. You'll obviously take a Florida Trump +13. But the overall, if you look at these polls and you say, oh, they did a whole set of polls, and in Texas, Trump is up 6, and in Florida, he's up 13. I would imagine probably Trump is leading the popular vote, or at least he's down by 1 or something like that. But that same pollster releases the popular vote and has Harris +3. So you'll get that. It is what it is. It's not exact science, but Harris +3 in terms of a popular vote out of a New York Times poll, it's not great for Trump, but the Florida poll is great. So it's interesting. And I wonder if they will be releasing more polls, like probably their swing state polls and everything like that. There have not been many polls that have been released. That's why it was so interesting to see Trump trend so well in Polymarket when there were really we had like a lull of like a week or 5 days where there were no crazy polls that were released. I mean, we were getting polls, like there would be days where we'd see 16, 17 polls. I think we're going to start seeing that again with many of these states. I think you're going to see even more tighter margins in Michigan and Wisconsin, although those states are very close already. But we're going to get massive swaths of updates from all of these pollsters that are coming within the next week or two, we would expect. I can't wait for the next Bloomberg update. And Donald Trump yesterday announced that he was going to be doing a huge rally in California on Saturday. It's going to be at 5 o'clock Pacific, which is when he's been having now his rallies on Saturday. It seems like that's the time he wants to have them, when the sun is setting. So he's going to be in California. A lot of people surprised by that. Trump doing a rally in California, it's just weird. And then you can see possibly helping with the House. Certainly it's for the House. It's an interesting strategy for Trump because you have to think, these Saturdays, these are primetime rally events. Going to California in October is pretty crazy. The House is very important. It is. If you don't win the House, it's going to be very hard for Trump to pass a lot of the things he wants, especially in a timely manner, without it really being mucked up if the Democrats have control of the House. Right now, if you look at the betting, they've got about a 60% chance to win the House. We saw Trump implement a similar strategy when he went to New York, and he had a hit rally there. And a lot of the time when you're talking about California, there are a ton of Republicans there. They're just disenfranchised. They don't really see a high incentive to vote because there's no way Trump's going to win. He's going to lose the state by 25 points or somewhere around there. Well, if Trump goes there, obviously the Trump people, they've got the internals. I would imagine part of the reason they're going to California is because they've probably seen the internal polling number on the local races in New York and how Trump going there affected that. And we saw how Trump going to Montana, which is another kind of obscure location, affected Sheehy. And now Sheehy is the heavy favorite, and Republicans, that's going to help them easily, have the Senate and probably get 52 or 53 seats minimum. So they're probably looking at that and they're saying, we go to California, some of these people, they need a reason to vote. If Trump goes there to their state this late in the ball game, it's going to help the House significantly. And there's a lot of important races there, Republicans trying to take the House. So that's why I think he's doing it. I will say it's very tempting. You've got these Saturday rallies. They're huge. Trump's having them at 5 o'clock while the sun's setting. It's beautiful. You would love to see this rally in Michigan. You would love to see this rally in Georgia, a more rural area in Georgia. But listen, you need to win the House as well. So I think Trump and his team feel pretty confident at where they are right now in Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina. They probably feel pretty confident about Pennsylvania, especially with all the efforts going on there. Elon Musk really trying to win that state. The voter registration looks really good. A lot of people helping in Pennsylvania. There's a big effort, and it is the most important swing state, that's for sure. And Trump has been doing better in the polls in Pennsylvania recently. He's been doing very well in terms of the betting in Pennsylvania. So they probably feel comfortable about that. And they're saying, I don't know about using a Saturday for it, because the Saturdays are like the big rallies. But it is what he's going to also be in Aurora. So that's good. You go to Aurora on Friday. Obviously, they're dealing with the Venezuelan gangs. You had that whole issue. I believe he's going to be going to Springfield, Ohio sometime. That'll probably come mid-October, maybe later. He'll be back into the Rust Belt a ton, probably late October, and doing a bunch of rallies there. But it is interesting that he is going to be spending a Saturday in October in California, certainly. And you could say, well, it's an investment into the House, because a lot of those people, they don't see a big reason to vote. There's a ton of Republicans there. The House races are very important. The Republicans would love to sweep. I saw a recent betting thing on Polymarket that Republicans right now, this is their highest ever in terms of a Republican sweep. The percent is at like 32%, which would be Trump winning, the Republicans taking the House, and the Republicans taking the Senate as well. You've also got Rasmussen coming back with a sample. They weight these polls Democrat +2. That's very impressive for Trump to be at, because that is a pretty, you can argue on what electorate we're dealing with. You talk to Gallup, they would say Republican +3. We'll have to see what their updated polls say, but Democrat +2 seems very realistic. Some of these pollsters in terms of the popular vote go Dem +4, Dem +5 based off of what happened in 2020, but it's a different environment than 2020. So a D +2, you can understand it. And certainly you're looking at that 5-day moving average. You're looking at Trump around 49. You're looking at Harris at around 46, which is a 3-point advantage in terms of the popular vote. This is Rasmussen. But again, it's not like Rasmussen has this crazy track record of way overrating Trump. It just didn't happen in 2020. And in 2016, they were one of the more accurate pollsters. Also in 2020, they were one of the more accurate pollsters. So to see Trump with the, you could take a look at the day by day, Trump +7, +5, but really, you've got a Kamala +3 right there. The bigger thing to look at is just the 5-day moving average, Trump sitting +3, and they weight it Dem +2. It's not like, oh, it's even, or Republican +1, like they're trying to cook the numbers for Trump. It is weighted a Dem +2 sample, and Trump is still up by around 3 points. Now, is he going to win the popular vote by 3 points? Probably not. But I still think he could potentially win the popular vote by a half a point, based off of where we're at now. Kamala Harris, her internal numbers, and it's working class men. It's men in general. Men need to go for Trump by a bigger margin than women go for Harris. We know that because more women vote. And it's so important. You would think the way men have been disenfranchised by the Democratic Party, especially white men, that this is just nuts. That it would be such a stark difference in terms of the support, and that men overwhelmingly would go for Trump, you would hope, and it would make up for the gap. And I don't really think there's this whole thing like there was with Hillary in 2016, where it's like, women, there are going to be some. It's like they vote for Kamala because they want the first female president. it's like, I mean, she's not even qualified. She didn't win anything. It's pathetic. And it doesn't feel like the whole Hillary women movement back in 2016. So either way, guys, that's just the update on the situation. Her internal numbers with men are horrible, and she's not doing anything to help it. She's going on The View. She's going on Call Her Daddy. She's going on Howard Stern. None of these things are really going to help any of that. That's just more echo chamber BS. Colbert as well. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.